be a little bit more, so there's definitely a lot to send to us. Oh, I saw, yeah, there it is. Yeah, you have the meeting, the minutes, and the pulling agreements. Yeah. So did you send all the documents twice? Is that what it is?
I don't think so. You should have had UAMs invite.
I saw that.
And then accept the Zoom link. Or did it re-duplicate with the Zoom link on there?
Yes, we got it March 2nd, all my stuff, doing stuff, and, yeah, yesterday.
Sorry, I was in San Antonio yesterday, so that's why I wasn't looking at dates. When did the first polling documents come out? That wasn't yesterday, that's like.
February 27th is when the agenda came.
Okay, that's the one I'm thinking. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking. Okay, so no mark online yet or anything? Well, we've got a quorum here, so we'll go ahead and get started. And if Mark joins us, we'll excuse Dick tonight. But welcome to our Washington City Power Board meeting, March 3rd. We've got Noel is online, and Todd and I are here live, along with everyone else in the fun, huh? Everybody running the show. Rick may be joining us online if he can get away and stuff. So if he does, we'll have him join us there. But did everyone get a copy of the agenda and get a chance to look through those?
Yep,
Is there any questions, comments, concerns?
None here.
No, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Todd did the motion. Noel did the second. Noel, will you start us on a vote?
Jackson, aye.
Todd?
Spriggs, aye.
And Dinsmore, aye. Okay, item number 2 is the approval of last month's Power Board minutes. Are there any comments or questions on that?
None here.
No, I'll go ahead. Motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second that motion.
And Todd did the first and Noel did the second. Noel, start us on a vote again.
Jackson, aye.
Todd?
Spriggs, aye.
All right, moving right along. Item number 3 is our new business, which is a recommendation to the City Council to approve the resolution authorizing and approving the amended and restated power pooling agreement with the Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems for the pool project, authorizing execution and delivery thereof and related matters.
It's a mouthful, huh?
And Scott's going to cover it. So turn the time over to you, Scott.
All right, sounds good. So this resolution, we talked a little bit about it last month. We've been talking about it for a little while now. I'll kind of throw out the summary to it and then see if you guys have questions or concerns. We're looking for hopefully a recommendation of approval to the City Council. This amended and restated agreement is an old agreement essentially that we've had as long as we've been a power company in Washington, is my understanding. And the agreement essentially provides a way for UAMPS as an organization to help us with, buying and selling and scheduling resources, all of that kind of thing. When all of these different entities that are part of UAMPS, when they have excess or shortages of power, of energy, then UAMPS is able to kind of take the whole and make it all work. I mean, maybe a better explanation is explaining, you guys may know this, I'm not sure. Our balancing authority is Rocky Mountain Power. So they're kind of tasked with making sure that each entity, their power is balanced. You know, if they're using whatever power they're using, they have to be able to provide and show that they have resource for that power. And with UAMPS, it's a way that we can all together collectively accomplish that with their kind of oversight and their, you know, them running it. And so that agreement has been there since way before. And over the years, my understanding from what they've told us is they haven't followed the agreement exactly to the letter. They've just kind of, it's molded over the years, and not a lot. It hasn't varied very much. It's still very similar to the way the agreement is. But they've decided, okay, with this EDAM coming up, starting in May, we need to be able to, UAMPS needs to be able to have the authority to do everything that they need to do to comply with EDAM, to help us as members comply with EDAM. So they wanted to update the agreement, make it current, make it to what we're actually doing, and then also include whatever they need in order to comply with EDAM. So that's like the general summary of why we're doing this and what it is. There's more details in there. Some of the bigger changes that are coming that have to do with the details are the way that they want to comply with EDAM. They want to make sure that we have a way that we are purchasing power a year for a year. Each year that it comes around in December, they want us to purchase power for the next coming year. And we talked a little bit about it last month. That would kind of purchase up to like 70 or 80% of what we know our needs are. And then as we get closer, you know, like 30 days out, we'll look at it again and purchase more. And
So
then
I should know this, but EDAM, is it nationwide
it's not
regulation?
nationwide.
Is it Utah?
It's kind of the west. My understanding is the western half of the United States, but it's not everybody in the western half. It's an organization that right now is functioning in the western half of the United States.
And it's something that Pacific Corps decided to join.
They decided to join it, yeah.
And because they're over our governing whatever,
Yeah, our balancing.
then UAMPS falls under Pacific Corps, so we have to comply with EDAM.
Exactly.
Okay, I was wondering if that
That's
was
correct.
nationwide.
Yeah, no, not nationwide. And really, Pacific Corp didn't even have to choose to join EDAM. There's other markets. It's a market essentially, and they could have chose other markets, but that's the one they chose. And because they chose it, that pulls us into it automatically. Yep. So that's going live in May, and we got to be ready for that. I was going to say, ultimately, this also gives UAMPS the authority that kind of the last stop that we have to meet all of our resource adequacy is 2 days prior to the hour. So like for today at this hour, we would have had to have shown EDAM that we were resource compatible or sufficient 2 days ago at this hour. And so that's kind of like your last chance to show that you have all the resource that you need, or else you'll get a fine. And so this allows UAMPS at that moment, 2 days ahead, they can purchase anything that we need to purchase in order for each of the members in order to make sure that we're adequate, resource adequate. Kind of the bigger things in this agreement is those things. We can go through more details if you guys want. That's kind of the gist of it. And I think maybe I'll leave it at that. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read through the agreement. The resolution itself, the only other thing that I thought was probably worth mentioning, the resolution itself essentially authorizes the mayor to sign the agreement and the recorder. And then it confirms that Rick is the UAMPS representative and Jeremy Red and myself are the alternate reps. And it gives authority to Rick, and in Rick's absent, Jeremy or myself, to act in Rick's place to approve any appendices or act on any other matters that come up within the agreement. So it's worth mentioning that that's also in there, that it does give authority to Rick, and then if Rick's not around, Jeremy or myself to work with the agreement in the future, any changes that need to be made. Of course, that would be through the project management committee at UAMPS, but we would have a vote there.
So key changes, obligates participants to purchase power and resource efficiency requirements in excess of owned resource through UAMPS. So obligates participants to purchase power through UAMPS, eh? Okay, I understand that. Establishes format, market planning tools, including annual purchase plan. So as I understand it, this makes it easier for us as a city because UAMPS is kind of directing
Yeah.
or looking into the needs of what our needs are and what's available for us to purchase,
Yes.
rather than Rick or someone else having to do it, right?
Yeah, having to spend our manpower.
Which
Correct.
is a big plus.
Yes.
Now, there is a fee that goes along with it. Do we know what the fee is?
Not necessarily like a set fee, sorry. But there's costs that go along with it. So they'll distribute the costs according to, who's causing those costs, essentially. So any extra work that our city would require them to do, they'll account for that and put it into the bill and charge us. There's fees like transmission fees and all of the normal stuff that comes along with resources. With EDAM, the fees are gonna be kind of distributed out, kind of almost like an entitlement, depending on who's causing the costs,
Yeah,
is the way that they've described it.
okay.
So the majority of the additional cost in this is going to be the EDAM side of it. Because it's a whole new entity that's going to be thrown into the power realm.
Yeah, so any of those additional costs would be EDAM causing that. I mean, each of us, we're causing it, but it's their work that they're doing for us. But really, it's supposed to be a positive thing for us, because what happens is the energy that each entity already has rights to, it all goes into the pool almost like, and then they choose the least expensive resources first. And so because of that, it's supposed to be a net gain for all of the participants. I don't think that'll be, I mean, I don't think that's intended to be perfect and all the time. There's going to be some ups and some downs, I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's still yet to be seen. But the big costs are still going to be the energy. Like this is basically a way for us to still buy energy that we need for our load. So that'll still be the major cost, is just buying the energy.
So we don't see any way that this is going to add more cost to the consumer by accepting this plan?
That's
or
a great
anything?
question. I don't think so. I mean, that'll definitely be try it out and see. It's supposed to be better for us as far as the cost of the energy itself. It's supposed to be a net gain there, but we will be paying a little bit towards the administration of the EDAM and the balancing and all of that. And UAMPS will be hiring a couple new employees to be able to do all of it. And so that'll, costs will go up, I'm sure, just a little bit that way. Probably kind of offset each other. I mean, it's a guess at this point, because we still don't know exactly how this all looks. I don't know if I'll remember to go through it when we go through UAMPS, so I'll just mention it now when we do a UAMPS updates, but they're actually starting to do some mock runs of it, some trial runs of it. So hopefully within the next couple of months, right before we go live in May, hopefully we'll have some more answers on exactly how the EDAM part of it works. But a lot of that's still kind of nervous. Okay, what's this going to look like, and how are the fees actually going to show up, and how are the penalties going to show up, and what's it look like, and how early do we have to really know what our loads are? And there's a lot of little questions like that that are still yet to be answered.
I thought I remembered when they were talking about the convention, they were saying there's going to be some costs that are going to be associated, but they just don't even know what it is because they just can't relate those variables right now because do they need to hire 4 employees? Do they need to hire 20 employees? And those costs are very different that they just can't determine in that right now.
Yeah, and they're working with so many unanswered questions. They were trying to come up with how are we going to do our formulas for deciding how much resource each participant is required to have. I mean, even that's a hard question, especially for them to tell us what our loads are going to be. It's hard enough for us to guesstimate our own loads, let alone for them to guesstimate our loads and tell us what they think we need to have. So there are a lot of tough questions like
But I
that.
think I remember they were saying that the thing to remember is we're going to be going to a company that's going to be doing it and spreading it across the board compared to you have to take that company, what they're doing it, and put it within your own power association and do all of what they're doing on a small scale.
Yeah,
So that's our option. Either we as a city comply with EDAM or we allow UAMPS to do it for us. Is that what, in essence, what we're voting for?
yeah, well, so we're not voting on EDAM exactly. We're voting
Right.
on, this is a resolution for the pooling agreement. EDAM is almost like
With UAMPS, the pooling agreement.
the pooling agreement with UAMPS.
So either we comply with EDAM's here regardless, because it falls under Pacific Corp. So we have to comply with that.
Yeah.
So what we are approving is allowing UAMPS to do this for us, basically,
Essentially,
to be in
yes.
compliance with this.
Yes,
And so if fees go up with that, then, I mean, they would probably go up if we decided to do it ourselves for Washington City, because we would have to buy it. That's what you're saying, right, Mike? We'd have to
Yeah.
employ people to comply.
Yeah, we'd have to have
make
somebody
sure we're
full-time
compliant.
every day, making sure we have enough power for tomorrow.
Right.
Or 2 days, and doing that on a daily basis and buying that in advance. Whereas UAMPS is gonna do that for us and get us at a better rate, hopefully, and that's where they're saying the costs are gonna offset.
yeah,
Because instead of us buying our own power for the day, they're buying the pool, and we're just taking our amount out of that.
And there will be like a sharing of power, so to speak, if we have additional
of.
power or
yeah, kind
power
of
we
like
don't
if,
need.
yeah, like if
pull
we're
from
short and
us.
another city is long, we
they
will
can-
still pay for it and they'll still get paid
Right.
for their excess, but they'll balance out our loads within our membership that's in UAMPS, yep. And then once they have that balanced, all of the excess, if we're still short, then they have the authority to go out and buy more. If we're long, then they have the authority to sell what's long and reimburse it to whoever contributed the long energy. I just wanted to clarify really quickly, though, this agreement, we are approving it, but it's not just the EDAM portion of it. It's the pooling agreement. It's at UAMPS, we have the pool project, we'll meet about the pool. And it's still that agreement. It's just being really kind of pressured and caused us to take a more serious, deeper look at it because of EDAM. But that agreement's been there for 40+ years and needed to be looked at anyways. And it's an agreement that we were already a party to. Now we're just updating it.
Right, okay.
I want to
Yeah.
just make sure.
I think
that's
the
clear.
only
Okay.
problems I really kind of have with it that's tough, but there's no way around it is if UAMPS looks at a project, a power project, and it's not something that was really in our realm, in our portfolio, we're kind of forced to go into that, which kind of makes it tough if they go solar heavy or wind heavy or whatever, and we're kind of forced into that. But we just don't have the capacity to do what
Yeah.
they're gonna provide, so.
So that, I think what you're thinking of is the all requirements, and that's actually a separate deal than this
Oh, is that
also.
the other deal?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the other deal then.
That is a
Okay, and
separate
that's
one.
why we're not doing that one. Okay, I
Yeah.
just missed those two. The other thing I had was the question on it that I was looking at was the termination requires a 5-year notice. I just didn't, why the 5-year notice? Is there a reasoning behind that? Do we know?
I think so. Several reasons in my mind. I'm trying to remember if any of those were given to me by UAMPS or just in my mind, but stability is a big part of it. Resource is another big part of it. They're purchasing resource. They're always looking ahead, even out a year. And when, obviously like a really small utility is not going to make as big of a difference, but a big utility, if they were to bail on the pooling agreement, it's going to mix up the whole thing, and you got to reconfigure everything and restart all over and everything. The other thing is that the pool is such a big, because this is the pooling agreement, like it's for UAMPS, because they're saying even if you don't give the 5 years in order to get out of this, you have to essentially get out of UAMPS because it's such an integral part of UAMPS. UAMPS is there to help the members buy, sell, schedule, settle all of their resources. And when somebody bails out of that, gets out of that, it causes all of the restructuring and calculating and all of that kind of thing. And then you have all these contracts that are so integrated into what UAMPS does that now each contract that member was a part of has to be looked at and possibly.
So all of the other entities, municipalities, whatever, that are part of UAMPS, are they joining this, or have we heard whether they're going to?
I think I'm trying to remember, I think they did report that some have already, I think maybe, don't quote me on this number. For some reason, it's coming to my mind, there was like 10 or 12 of them that have already signed it. But not being able to say for sure, my assumption is everybody will agree to it and will sign into it. It's the same agreement that we had, just with a few changes to it. It's the exact same agreement that everybody that's in UAMPS now has signed that agreement in the past, and they're just updating it and changing a
That's
few
why it's
little
amended,
things.
stated.
Yeah, it looks like the original does have the 5-year termination notice.
Did it? Okay. I just didn't recall that one. I think Rick said that it was hard to say previous because I think the deadline's coming up
Yeah.
to commit, but he didn't recall that anybody was kind of objecting to it.
I don't
that-
think there's been a lot of discussion about the agreement. They've made tweaks, they've changed wording, they've added, they've taken away. There has been a lot of discussion around the agreement itself. And one of the bigger things that I remember in the discussions that was heartache for some of the members was the 1 year ahead, where you have to purchase power 1 year ahead. Because a lot of the bigger members do have people on staff that are already looking at that kind of stuff, at their resources and long-term, what to purchase and stuff like that. So there is a provision in this agreement that you can opt out of that 1 year section of the agreement, where you don't give UAMPS authority to purchase for you for that 1 year mark. And so that's something we could also do. I think at this point, Rick is not necessarily wanting to opt out of that, but it is an option. And I think it says on a yearly basis, you can change whether you opt out of that or not. You can opt back in and back out year after year to see how it goes. But with like the auditing and stuff, there's also provisions in here for auditing. If we go through the first year and then go back and audit it and we think, man, we probably could have done better ourselves, we can opt out of that portion next year and do it ourselves. And then if we thought we could do it and we're not very good at it, so we want to go back to them doing it, we can opt back in.
Okay.
And from what I had seen and heard, a lot of the, questioning and wanting to change the verbiage in the agreement had a lot to do with that. that portion, and I think that's why they made it an option to opt out if you want. But the one they didn't change, and they really can't opt out unless they're willing to just take on fees and then have to, or penalties, was the 2 days. 2 days ahead, the way the agreement still reads is that everybody has to give authority to UAMPS for that 2 days ahead, that they can purchase what they need to and balance
Because
our
that's kind of
loads.
a compliance thing, EDAM,
Yes,
right? That's
yep.
or we get fined if we
Exactly.
don't do that.
So if UAMPS doesn't comply with that and make sure, and kind of govern that and make sure that we're complying, then each member, if they don't comply, there's going to be penalties coming in left and right from all over. So it just made a lot of sense for them. But yeah, I mean, kind of going back to the first question there, I feel confident that everybody's going to approve this, but we really won't know until they do. But I think the only way they wouldn't is if they were looking to get out of UAMPS, and I don't think that that's a very beneficial thing for anybody really, so.
Yeah.
Good questions.
Yeah, it looked like UAMPS or the city could do audits on any of the fees, any of the power allotments
Yeah,
at any point, and up to a 3 year. So yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I think UAMPS has kind of been operating under this agreement, but they've just been a little bit more flexible, and they've got to have their own processes in case they get audited. So that's why it's looking a little bit tougher now than it did before.
yeah,
Because I think we've kind of, other than our own we've kind of gone to them when we've needed power agreements anyway. So we've kind of been operating on that, and they've been finding us projects. We've had the ability to join or not join, and
yep,
we've been operating that way.
yep. That's
It's just
exactly
the new 2-day buy-in, which we don't have an option on that. That's being forced on the entire industry.
That's exactly right. Yeah. One other point that's been pretty big in debate and big question in my mind is, I kind of mentioned it earlier, is the projections of the forecasts of your load, each member's load. And they did end up putting a provision in here that says that they will work with the members, because UAMPS is going to do their projections, and they've actually been doing that, even though the old agreement didn't require it. They've been doing projections year after year to kind of give members an idea of what they see that our loads will be. But they will continue to do that, and there's a provision in there that explains that it's a shall, they shall do it with help of the member, so that the member has input. The member can tell them, well, this is what we're seeing. We think that it's not going to be quite that much load because of this reason and that reason. So it kind of states that in good faith, both parties will work together to forecast the loads, which is important because that's what determines whether you get a fine or not, or a penalty, when they call for resource adequacy.
Yeah, because the city knows what's going on in the city,
Yeah,
what industry's coming here, building permits, things like that, what our
Exactly.
projections are gonna be.
yeah,
Well,
So I think we would have to work with them.
we've always done that every few years anyways. And I'm sure smaller cities probably just don't do that because they don't have
the manpower.
the manpower and the,
But it was a worry because you think the resource adequacy requires, that is the requirement for how much resource you have to buy. And if they get it wrong and they think that you're gonna be 5 megawatts higher than what we think we're gonna be, and then they require us to buy 5 more megawatts of power, then it ends up being what we thought it was. Now we're 5 megawatts long and we gotta sell that, and hopefully, which, you still could make money on it, but it's also
Might not.
likely
and
to
that's
lose money
the
on it.
nervous I had. And you
Yeah.
corrected me on that last month when we were talking about that, because I was thinking, okay, if we buy long, we're stuck with that. But I didn't realize that, yes, we can sell that back
It
and,
does,
and
yeah.
at least recoup costs and stuff,
Yeah,
so.
it does sell back, and it'll just be that difference whether we win a little bit on it or lose a little bit on it. When it comes time to sell it, if the power prices have gone up, then we'll actually make money on it. But if the prices have gone down, we would lose money on it. So not knowing what that's going to do, it's hard for somebody else to tell you, your load is gonna be this, and you have to buy that much power. And when we're thinking, our load's not gonna be that high, we don't think we need that much. So this kind of helps to,
So they're willing to work with us. And,
yeah, they'll work with
That's
us and
good.
give us a say, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Councilman, do you have any questions? You've been involved in these, but you're quiet there.
Well, I don't know, these are interesting things, but I think whatever we can do to get the power more stabilized and UAMPS do that to help us, I think it's a benefit for us, you know, I mean, we always get complaints that our power is way more money than other people, so whatever we can do to get down as much as we can, and that's how I feel about the agreement, but I don't know, I have to trust on these guys too I mean, it's not my forte, it's your guys's, and I think with Rick and Scott, this is what UAMPS is trying to do to help keep control of those costs down. I think it's probably beneficial to the city. But
And that's the thing I feel good about after being on the power board for a few years and seeing how UAMPS operates. Certainly looks like it's in our best, they're looking out for us, our
Yeah.
best interest, because that benefits them as well. So that makes me feel good rather than entering into an agreement with someone else that we don't know, we haven't partnered with in the past. And like you said, it's already an existing agreement. They're just tightening it up a little bit, so.
and I like that I'm glad some of the cities pushed back a little bit to give us some options to do
Yeah.
different things, you know, like I like that option that you could, you know, I could see that if Washington gets big enough, you might someday say, well, we want to manage this stuff more than you guys, and because we know our city better, and at least it gives an option, you can try it or not do it. But I think if you have a company like UAMPS that's going to, I mean, they're gonna have people specialized to do it for everybody. And if we hire someone, we'll probably have to hire a bunch of people to cover that, and
Yeah,
it would be more painful than having just them handle it because they have specialized people doing it.
with connections and
Yeah.
information
It would probably
outside
be
of us.
Scott's part-time job at night to get it done, and I don't know if he wants to do that.
Yeah,
Well, and it makes sense, like we saw at the convention where some of these other companies have 40 employees and we don't have to have that many because
Yeah.
we are able to rely on UAMPS to cover some of that and help us out there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Is there any other info you need to give us, or is that,
I don't think so.
I think we've covered a lot over the last
Yeah, we
3,
talked
4
about
months.
it. I'm feeling like maybe with the council, we'll probably go a little more into detail
Yeah.
on the basic stuff because we've already done that with you guys.
Is
think
there
we
a
need
work
to.
session being done for that, or are we just doing it?
I think we should get it on a work session. We should give it there.
Okay,
Session set up. I think it's important because, again, got to detail.
Well, I mean, and we've covered it over the last 3, 4 months, plus going to the convention, so I just hate to have to sit in city council for 2 hours just to cover all this, and that's
true.
that's a lot of info and stuff.
What's that? It is going to city council, yeah.
Well, that's something you guys can cover after the,
I think it is on the 11th, is that? Yeah, the 11th. I was thinking maybe you were thinking that, do they do a work session before every council meeting? So I wondered if we could get on that one, if we want to do that.
well, you guys can decide that after if that's something that they feel they need
I'll
to
talk to
ask
Rick.
that.
Okay,
So,
I'll talk to
okay.
Rick. He did mention that, because I don't know the politics here that well, he did mention that the council historically has been very supportive of the power board. They lean heavily on the power board. So that might be why he is not thinking a work session, but. Okay.
It would be more if you guys had questions than anything, but like you said, I mean.
Probably depends on the day.
Okay, we'll talk to Rick and see what he would prefer on that one.
yeah, and if we can help with any of that, he thinks it'd be beneficial to have us there, let us
Yeah.
know.
Okay. I'll talk to him about that too. Okay, that'd be great.
Noel, do you have any other comments, questions?
I do not, thank you.
Someone have a motion then?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and motion that we recommend to the city council to approve the resolution authorizing and approving the amended and restated power pooling agreement with UAMPS Power Systems for the pool project, authorizing execution and delivery thereof and related matters. Do I need to be concerned about and related matters?
I'll second that.
Todd did the first and Noel did the second. Noel, would you start us with the vote?
Jackson, I.
Todd
Spriggs, aye.
and Dinsmore, aye. All right, thank you, thank you.
Maybe
Scott,
just-
we'll go to the next point, which is regular business, which you get to cover this month. The
Yeah.
operations and generations updates.
Yeah, just really quickly, Todd, when I read the other matters, I think it's like the UAMPS representative stuff that's in that, the other stuff that's in that resolution that they didn't
That's
want to
already
spell it all
part of
out.
this.
Yeah, that,
It's not like approving trips to
no,
Wendover for city council
Yeah.
or anything.
okay, regular business here. Let me see if, Stephen, could you give me control of the TVs? Let's see if I can get back to, oh no, that's not where I wanted to go. So I'll try to go through this stuff fairly quickly. There's substantial amount of stuff here, but I don't know how exciting any of it will be to you or not. We did win an award, thanks to the employees and Rachel's hard work of filling out the application. We won an award with the APPA, the American Public Power Association. I was going to show you the email. For some reason, it doesn't say it here on this one, but on the email, it explains that we were a diamond winner. So that's exciting. This little chart here shows you the diamond down here at the bottom. My mouse shows up there. The diamond is the highest level, so that's exciting and good. Of course, the safety award is always a good thing to win. It's pretty important in our industry, so we're happy about that and wanted to brag a little bit about our record there. We also, along that note, we are getting a new employee tomorrow, a part-time employee starting tomorrow. She'll be working mostly with Rachel. She'll be kind of an assistant to Rachel. Rachel's been really overloaded with work, and especially with our new AMI program being rolled out, there's a lot of computer entry, data entry on the computer work to be done that just eats up so much time. So she'll be especially helping us in that area. We also have, this week is the IPSA testing that our apprentices, when they're working towards becoming journeymen, they take yearly step tests. And we have 2 apprentices that are doing that this week. Jackson McElbring is going from a 2nd year to a 3rd year. And Jessica Black is our meter tech, and she's testing from her 3rd year to her 4th year. So I thought I'd throw that out there and throw in some props for those guys and wish them luck. They start testing tomorrow and should finish up Thursday. Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And Harker is one of our newer hires. We hired him from St. George, stole him from St. George, and he's getting his recognition tomorrow night for obtaining his journeyman. He's been a journeyman for 6 months or 8 months, maybe going on a year, but they only hand out those recognitions once a year at this banquet down in Mesquite and this week. And so he'll be getting his recognition and his belt buckle. They give him a belt buckle when they journey out. And so he'll be getting that tomorrow. So that's exciting too.
Please convey our congratulations to them. That's great.
We will, thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. Some of the information to pass on, the projects that we've been working on, the Grapevine substation hasn't had a lot of change in the last month, or the 69 kV transmission line, because the guys have been working really hard on the well line. So we'll kind of look at some of I think Rick has been showing you some of the pictures of the well line. They finished that one up, so that's good to report that it's completely done. There's several pictures here. I'll just kind of flip through them, but they got it all done and got out of there before we had any casualties of turtles or anything like that. I guess they did see a turtle on one day, and it was such a warm winter that they probably came out a little bit early, but that's a nice picture there, like that sky in the background. But they got it all done and they're all out of there. I think there's even some snow pictures in here. There's only 1 or 2 days of snow, I think, but they were up there working in it and got some pictures to store away in their memories. Yeah, I think they're all completely done. They were kind of cutting them up as they went along. They were, so that they didn't have to like drag them out. They would cut them into 4 or 5 foot sections and haul them out and take them out on trucks. So I think it's all completely done, wrapped up, good to go. So that's all the pictures we got there. So that, I think so. Yeah, that's my understanding. I think they did they not? Okay, report it to Sitla. Okay. Okay. We'll just double check and make sure, but it sounds like we're good. That's a good idea. I don't know if anybody's thought of that.
You always get new Sitla managers and stuff, and they've never worked with us before.
Yeah,
So if we get a letter that says this project went good, they cleaned up good, had no disturbances,
yeah,
and turn that in with the next project.
that's a good idea.
The guys we've been working with have been there 20
Have
plus
they?
years. Yeah, like it's usually a good progression as they get hired up. Like the 2 main guys have been there for 20 years.
Okay,
So and the next guy coming up is like,
probably the other one, so.
yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's a good idea for other projects, but I don't know if that matters to them.
Okay.
So they look at every job independently.
You just
a
never
good idea,
know.
though.
You never know when you're.
Yeah, but just working with Scylla, they have the same, they've got they don't have a lot of turnover like other state agencies do. These guys have been pretty consistent over the past.
Okay,
Through my career, I guess, working with them, they've been the same guys in this area that are local guys, so.
okay.
Let's see what else. The AMI project is still progressing well, and hopefully we'll even be able to pick up the pace a little bit more. Rachel's kind of been coordinating, and every couple of weeks she'll have the guys go out and do 100 of them, switch over 100 of them, and then it causes a good 3/4 of a day of worth of work for her and Brittany. And now with the new employee, hopefully we can even maybe ramp that up just a little bit more even, because the guys have been able to do it fairly quick, and their job is a lot shorter in time span than the computer entry. So, maybe we can even ramp it up a little bit more is the hope, and we'll be able to push through it a little faster. Yeah, yeah. So more than double the work on the computer side, the data entry side. And we're still learning. There's a lot of training and learning that on our side for the software that comes with it. There's, we've had plenty of questions and trainings, and that's just an ongoing process, but it's overall going really well. We're just starting to kick off the coordination with the app that will be the user interface, so that the residents will be able to have the app on their phone and they can look and see what their usage is and some of the data from their account. So that's going to take several months, 6 to 10 months to get that, maybe even up to a year, to get it totally up and going and running, but we're starting that process right now. So hopefully within a year, hopefully less, but should be at least within a year, we'll have that up and going to where the residents can download the app. The report here, January had 5 applications for the solar policies. I don't know if we had February data for that. I apologize if you already heard that last month, but January's data was 5 applications. I know they have still been coming in. We've been working on them the last few weeks, so I know more have been coming in February, but I'm not sure the numbers. 5, sounds right. Okay. PCA and KW charts, let me see if I can pull that up. These are charts and reports that Rick shares with you guys each month. We'll see if I can report this without messing it up too bad here. So this one you can see is the wholesale power, the dollars per kilowatt hour for January. Looks like we averaged 9 cents. And 2026 is the blue, so that's that little blue dot right there, if you can see it, showing that it's at 9 cents. So it's a little higher than the other years, but just not as high as the 2023. So kind of interesting that overall it's a little bit higher. I think we'll go down this way. This is the PCA. So this shows you what the PCA came out for January. The power cost adjustment was a negative 1.4 cents. So that would be a credit. I guess, do we do it as a credit? We do it as a credit to the residents. So that would be a credit on their bill, which is pretty comparable to most of last year. Had some 1.4s and some 1.5s and stuff. So pretty comparable. It's holding pretty steady right now. The peak load, this is saying as of the 12th of February, our peak was at 17 megawatts, which is a little lower than last year. You can see it was at 19, but as you guys know, it's been pretty mild February for the most part. I mean, even though we've had a little bit of cold, it just hasn't lasted for very long. So we've had really warm February overall. So not a lot of load there, not a ton of load. And then the average customer usage, this is going back to January, looks like 568, which is pretty low for January. You can see that little blue dot is the lowest one on there. So just not using a ton of power, and I think that's because of the warm days through January. Also had plenty of warm weather.
Yet our power bill went up. So we haven't had any increases or anything, right? My wife was asking me specifically. I said, no, I don't think so. So, huh? Yeah, yes, I think so. What? Oh, okay, sorry. My
Rachel's
head is
got the-
plugged and I can't, very good.
Rachel's got the ability to
That would be
look
good.
into your account and help you
Okay.
answer some questions.
Yeah.
So I think that's all I had on the reports. Any questions on those?
Not any here.
Okay. Okay, UAMPS report. First, I wanted to, let's see, where do I have it? I wanted to remind everybody, you probably got an email. Was that today that you sent out the email for the toolkit? We've got the toolkit coming up in April. Looking at the agenda, it looks like a really good agenda. I think those will be some great topics to be there for if you can possibly make it. They'll start with lunch and then have some really great classes to learn some stuff. The Millard County, there's a lot going on there, trying to get that project going. The kind of big hurdle right now is the planning commission for the property that we purchased there is not zoned for industrial use right now. We're trying to get the zone changed, so they're asking for support from surrounding communities, other UAMPS communities. If any way you can make it to those meetings, we can get the dates for you. I had them somewhere. We can get dates for you, but they'll be having some public meetings up there, and it'd be great to have support from other members, see if we can get the land use that we need for that project there. And so they'll be talking about that at the toolkit. So if you have any questions about that, let us know, but get registered if you can. If you're able to do that, there's a link at the bottom of that invite. So let us know on that one. As far as the UAMPS meetings that we had this last month, some of the more notable, we go over a lot of financials. We go over this February was approving all of the budgets for the year. So we met on every single project and had to approve the budget in each project. So there was a lot of time spent on just approving budgets and going over financial stuff. So there's not a ton of super interesting stuff. I'm super happy to answer any questions you have, but I thought I'd just highlight a couple of the projects, things that seem like a little more interesting to me. I thought maybe would be more interesting to you guys. But let me know if you have any questions. So just a couple of them that are little extra information or interesting things that are going on. Maybe the CRISP project. They did a presentation. I'll just show you a couple of these slides. They show us what the drought is looking like, what the condition, what the weather, the precipitation conditions are looking like in the Colorado basin. This shows you the different lakes that are within that, reservoirs that are within that basin that ultimately end up down at Lake Powell. You can see that some of those are doing okay and others not so good, and Lake Powell is really not doing well at all. So a lot of the following charts have to do with the water in Lake Powell. It's not going up for some reason. So the Lake Powell, the status of the lake right now is current lake elevation is at 3,500 feet, and that's 43 feet above the penstock. So the penstock level, well, there's some percentages, you can look at that really quick, but right now in 2026, 52% of average. And then they go in and tell you possibilities of what it might be. Like this chart right here shows you the green is like the probable water levels. So you're looking at the water levels on the left is showing you the elevation of the water. And that dotted black line that goes across the kind of the lower half of the chart is the minimum power pool. So if the water level drops below that dotted line, they can't generate power out of Lake Powell. And so right now that green line is showing us the probable water levels. So you're looking at probably not being able to generate in November or December of this year, November, December. If the precipitation is worse than what the probable, that's what the red line is. So you could be looking at not being able to generate as early as July, August, if things go really bad. If things take a turn and go better, and we start getting some rain, then you're looking more up at this blue line up above. So definitely, it's kind of like watching the weather. They give you this huge range and it might be good or it might be bad. We don't really know, but they do kind of give us a probable. And the gray lines that you can see across there are more of like the averages or the way that it's been in the past. So you'll probably be closer to that green line, hopefully a little bit above it, more in the gray, but I don't know if we need to go into the smallmouth bass. They educate us on that because that changes how much power we can generate too. They have to, the smallmouth bass can't spawn in cooler water. So in order to preserve the Colorado River below the dam and to not introduce the smallmouth bass, they have to let colder water out, which means they're not generating with that water. So you lose power just because you got to put cold water down in the river down below. So it's sometimes frustrating. I mean, I know we're balancing an ecosystem and it matters, but sometimes it gets a little bit frustrating that we're letting water go through without generating, but that's what we got to do. One of the other projects, there it is, that I just thought might be a little more interesting in the Firm project. We talked a little bit about the Fremont Solar and Long Road Solar. I think I threw that in here. Oh, maybe I didn't. Yeah, maybe it's here in Firm, yeah. So the Fremont Solar is progressing. It's kind of nice to see a little bit of progress. So they have the property, they're actually starting to set that all up and get going on that. I think that this project is just north of the Milford. Let me make sure I'm telling you correctly. I think this is just north of the Milford Wind Farms, is the way I understand it. Haven't seen it yet, but that's what they're reporting to us, that they're actually starting to set up that. You can see on that picture, they're bringing the big transformer in, so that's exciting. But they are making some progress on that one. Kind of some timeline charts there. We can get you this information if you care to spend the time on it, but I thought I would just mention that. Been talking a lot about fire mitigation within the Member Services Project. We're working on getting more compliant with fire mitigation. So their UAMPS, kind of how we were talking earlier, UAMPS provides us a way to kind of pool our monies together and not have to spend so much each individually. This is one of those situations where they can get a consultant about fire mitigation and we can all pay a little bit instead of everybody paying a lot individually, and we can get some plans set up and some contingency set up for making sure we're good on fire mitigation. What else? So within the pool project, there's a lot going on within the pool. As you know, with that agreement that we're working on, getting ready for EDAM. Kelton provides a presentation each UAMPS meetings, and this is something that he presented. There's not sometimes I've debated whether to put this in here actually, because sometimes his charts require a little more explanation, but this is just showing you hours of the month, what the total UAMPS load is doing. So this is for January of 2026. Kind of interesting. The whole load of UAMPS was, 550 megawatts, and it jumps up and down, 250 to 300 megawatts each day, really. It's kind of interesting, but, and then he was showing us some statistics on average load by each of the members, and this one shows like what day each member peaks at generally, what day they average peak on of the week. So most people peak on a Monday, and then you can see those numbers go down on Tuesday, Wednesday. Friday is the smallest, but it was interesting. So this one shows each of the members. Ours is actually Thursday, so that was kind of interesting, especially being so close to St. George and Hurricane and Santa Clara. and they're peaking in on Mondays and Tuesdays, or actually they're all on Tuesday, aren't they? All three of those guys are on Tuesdays, so it's kind of interesting that we peak on a Thursday. Thought that was interesting, maybe thought you might find that interesting, I don't know, but we had a little shout out here on this chart. Washington was the member with the smallest variance for peak day for January. So meaning that they take the peak for each day and we have the smallest variance, like we're more of a steady load. So that's interesting. I mean, it's still not super steady by any means, but it's interesting that we had the smallest variance. I think that's really all I had as far as just trying to find something that was a little more interesting, hopefully not to bore you to death. I don't know if you had any questions about any of the UAMP stuff I could try to answer, but
No, I don't.
okay. You guys have been to some of those meetings and you know that there's a lot of not very interesting stuff, but important stuff, but not super interesting, but not the toolkit. Come to the toolkit. It will be interesting. I want to put another plug in there for that. So
Yeah. That looks
those will
good.
be some good topics. I think that's all I had.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for covering for Rick for this month.
Yeah.
So any other questions or comments?
I should have, back when I was reporting on the employees, I should have told you he is doing good though. Rick's doing well. I think he's recovering really well. So we get to talk to him almost on the daily now and sounds great. So he's recovering and doing well.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, thanks for letting us know that one.
Yeah, it is good.
So any other questions or comments?
I don't.
Nope.
Absolutely.
We're just gonna let you guys know, and I think I've told a few of you, but like, I have another board meeting the exact same time as this board meeting, so if I'm not here, I'm there because I'm a voting member. It's flood control. So that's why I wasn't here last week, but I do go back and try to watch and stuff and make sure I'm up to date, but, so sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm not, and they let me know like the day before, but it's always this same time. So, just so everyone knows.
Too
I'm
many
not-
meetings.
I'm not ditching out on you, I just,
No, we knew that.
Gotta
Yeah, we
split
knew you
different
had the
ways, so.
conflict that.
but, and again, no one will move their time, so.
Well, we're limited because you want Wednesday nights for the planning commission.
No reason to change for me, I just do it when I can.
No, we appreciate when you're here and your support and stuff, so. Okay, do we have an adjournment, a motion for an adjournment?
I'll motion to adjourn power board meeting.
I'll second.
Noel did the first, Todd did the second. Todd, would you start us on a vote?
Spriggs, aye.
Noel?
Jackson, aye.
Dinsmore, aye. Okay, we'll adjourn until next month, April the 7th. So thanks for everyone coming. See you then.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Stephen, too.